Hey guys, welcome back to Olivia's Blooms. This evening I wanted to show you our front yard garden, which I didn't show in my first tour. And I think as I take you around you'll notice that our front garden looks a lot different from the backyard garden. And that is because my husband took the lead on designing the front. Because he works from home full-time and his office is sort of in the front of the house, I wanted him to be able to look at something all day beautiful that he loves. He is also a great gardener. He got into gardening when I got into it, and his parents also are fantastic gardeners. As I walk around, I think you'll notice that his design is a little more structured and symmetrical. You might think, oh wow, that looks really great. Well, number one, rude. Number two, yes, looks better than my section. But number three, I think it highlights one of the things that I love about gardening, which is it can be about productivity and getting the most food or flowers out of your space. It can be about beauty and expressing your artistic side, or it can be about as much or as little of that as you want. You can balance both parts, you can focus on one or the other, or different parts of your garden can serve different purposes. And I think that's part of what makes it so fun. So I'm gonna show you around what we have in our front yard. So this is the view of our front yard from the street. Now, our right side facing the house, that section came landscaped with the house, and this little garden on the left side, we added that after. So let me give you a closer look of the plants in these gardens. So we'll start here with the section that we added after we moved in. And sort of an anchoring piece is this beautiful limelight hydrangea in standard form, and it is in its peak glory, I think, right now here in July, but we'll see as it ages. Maybe it'll get even more beautiful and interesting. As you can see, a lot of the rocks that my husband likes to find and place in our garden. Below the hydrangea standard, we actually had a beautiful Hinoki cypress, and it died very suddenly for reasons we could not figure out. So in its place, my husband found this beautiful variegated boxwood. And the boxwoods on the other side of the front yard garden are doing really well, so we're hopeful this one fares better than the Hinoki did. I'm sort of missing that height, but I think as this grows, it's gonna look perfect in that spot. And I like that the boxwood also provides some repetition and symmetry with the other side of our front yard garden. Here we have some Sunsparkler sedum, and this is a red peony. It's just its first year. I planted some roots. I think it was last fall, so still has a ways to go. Did not bloom this year, but I'm hopeful that next year or the year after we'll get some beautiful red blooms. And I believe that is, the name's escaping me, but I'll try and put it on the screen. I threw in 3 of the proven winners. Something Honey petunia. I'm really great at remembering the names, but I thought that golden yellow color with just a little bit of pink on the edges would look nice with the other colors that my husband has put here in the garden. These are some blue pansies that I can't believe are still holding on in this hot July weather. My husband created this pathway, again, out of just some stones that we found. And our goal is to continue it all the way to the fence in our backyard, which you can see. And then him and my daughter created this dry creek bed that helps with the drainage we have in this area, and I think it looks really nice too, just to have that interest and difference from the plants. In the back we have a low-growing Japanese maple, and then we have sort of a border of gardenia that swoops around here, and you can see some of it's in bloom. And in front of that, more of the Sunsparkler sedum. Now, similar to the backyard, as you get this close to the house, the soil is really bad, mostly compacted clay, and so the sedum is a great choice when you have really bad soil because it doesn't need much and it can thrive in a lot of different types of soils. And you can see the gardenia is blooming, and one of my favorite smells. I know this might sound weird, but it almost smells like buttered popcorn to me. Another common theme of my husband's garden designs are coleus. He loves coleus. So these are all coleus that do okay in the sun because this front, especially the front part of this garden, really gets full sun. So he's got a couple lime varieties and some red and some of the red and lime coleus to tie it all together. Really pretty. This tree I fell in love with and could not resist. It gets very big. It might be a little bit big for this area eventually. We're gonna have to keep it trimmed, but it's called an Amber Glow Dawn Redwood. And I think the name is really appropriate because the leaves almost look like they glow. And especially against the dark bark, it's just such a pretty contrast. Now over on this side of the garden, a little harder to see, the sun is setting, but we created a nice symmetrical white border just with some Vinca annuals, and again some shrubs, the same sort of color scheme of dark green, light green, reds, yellows, and whites. And we're hoping to create sort of a boxwood hedge that sweeps around the back. They're still small, but again, we've only been in this house 1 year, so hopefully they will grow up and we can turn them into a nice hedge. We might have to move some of them closer together depending on how big they get. Some fluffy arborvitae balls and some maroon barberry. Now I know barberry is invasive in a lot of areas. We were careful to select a variety that does not spread invasively, and we had success with this in our last garden as well. And it's not as bad in our area as it can be in other areas. Here is a Hinoki cypress that we saved from the backyard. It was not this bare originally, but these empty spots were leaves that had died. Again, we're not sure why we're struggling with these. My husband and I both love them. They're very slow growing, so it's very disheartening to lose a big portion of it, but still looks beautiful to me. And then we have an incredible hydrangea that is a little bit past its prime. Apologies for the neighborhood noises. And back here we just have some privets, a crepe myrtle bush, and some hollies. So that is sort of the builder's basic landscape that we haven't changed much. Another addition that my husband convinced me to add is this teddy bear magnolia. And I'll be honest, I was not a fan of magnolias. I was not drawn to them when I saw them in the landscape and in garden centers, but it's grown on me and I think it looks great in our front yard, and the blooms are amazing. I'll have to take some pictures of the blooms while they're in their prime. Now I'm going to take you up to the pots on our deck. A couple dwarf spruces that we've had for a long time. And then these pots are more what I fill with annuals to add some interest. This is a Senecio Angel Wings that has gotten huge, and I love that silver color. I hadn't intended for this to sort of be the centerpiece of the pots in the front, but it has taken over and I'm not complaining. And then we've got some purple, I think it's Royal Velvet Proven Winners petunias, and some Gaura that has not been doing well. I was excited to have this pink Gaura because it's perennial, meaning it comes back year after year, and so I wanted to put it in our backyard, but we'll see if it flushes back. It's the same with the other pot. Everything's doing well except for the Gaura, and I was hoping for that tall pink backdrop, but we'll see. We'll see if it bounces back. Now, our front porch is very much a work in progress. As I've mentioned, we've only been here a while, and this area is sort of the last we focused on furnishing. But I did want to put out a few pots for my husband to look at, and I've been really happy with how these have turned out. These are full shade, and I picked up some really inexpensive annuals at the start of spring, and they have just grown and filled in beautifully. This is just an asparagus fern. I believe this is called a hippo plant. I've got a couple of those, and I believe these were a couple dollars, like $1.99 when I got them. And then a Proven Winners double up pink begonia that has been pretty much blooming nonstop, and I haven't had to deadhead it, which is nice. These beautiful leafy multicolored Rex begonias. I love Rex begonias, and we're gonna see if we can bring this in and keep it over the winter as a house plant, because they can do well inside. And then we have a pink calla lily that the blooms are almost done, but you can sort of see the color that they were. But even the leaf texture, I think, is a pretty element. And same over here. Same plants, all doing well and really thriving. Here is a giant overgrown pot of Zebrina. And this plant we bought as a very tiny start, and what I love about it is it almost sparkles in the light. I don't know if you can see it. We have overwintered this for several seasons. It is not perennial in our area, but it has done well as a house plant. But what I need to do with it, you can see these long, kind of ugly vines, is what you can do is you can cut the plant here and then replant this part into the soil, and it will root in and look a little fuller. You can also share some of it with your friends. I actually gave my dad some of this and he started his own plant, but I do like how it cascades over the side. Needs a little maintenance though. And there is our front door wreath that the wasps decided to build a nest in, so that's why it's face down. So just a little sneak peek at our front yard. Hopefully we'll have some nice furniture soon, and we'll see how these annuals do in the fall, but I look forward to seeing this as it fills in, and maybe we'll plant some spring bulbs in here. Who knows this fall? I'll have to think about some plans. Thanks for taking this little tour with me, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, welcome. Oh, there's the car. Do you like listening to the car? Great.